Welcome to my Facebook live today. This is Prima, and before I get ahead of myself, I just want to make sure that you can hear me okay. I'm excited for this conversation today because I feel like a lot is going to come through, and I'm not sure what the end and the start will be, but I think it's going to be a very, very useful conversation. So for the last 6 years, since 2020, all I did was talk about business and what to do in business. To this point, I think I have helped over 200 women. I think I have had more than 500 conversations about business. But what I came to understand in the last year is that most of these conversations are not even about business. Most of the work that I have done is less about business and more about the things that have to happen before the business. And so today I want to talk about that conversation, and I want to come to you as somebody on the same journey, because when I talk about the self-actualization work, when I talk about being a magnificent human being, I like to come at this conversation like somebody on the journey. I like to come at this conversation like a friend. I've done a lot of business and a lot of people respect me for my business acumen. But what I do think I haven't talked about, which I have quite led myself properly through, is the side of self-actualization. I've led myself through relationships like really well. I've led myself through like personal power, internal power, like really, really well. I have led myself through these faith conversations. Like I have led myself through another part of me that I think I haven't really shared with most people. And most people just look at me and think she's the business ninja, kind of. I have presented myself in the market more as a person who thinks outside the box when it comes to business, as somebody who stands for intuitive ways of doing business, as somebody who does business in a way that is 100% who she is and helps her clients find ways that work for them. So I feel like for the longest time, I have positioned myself in the marketplace as a business owner because honestly, business is one of my best conversations to talk about. But for the people who know me even closer, people who've worked with me one-on-one, people who know me beyond a Facebook Live, those people will tell you that one of my best conversations is conversations about life, conversations about relationships, conversations about marriage, conversation about becoming an extraordinary human being who then layers on top marriage, money, business, career. Like first and foremost, you become an extraordinary human being. And then on top of that, you layer a good man, you layer a good job, you layer money, you layer wealth, everything else needs to happen on the foundation of who you are. And I feel like these are conversations I never talk about on the internet. And 2025, 2026 started to be a time when I was focusing more on that than even the business. And the more we've had AI coming, I believe the more I have felt led to talk about this other part of me that I never talk about. And because I never talked about it, I never even had like frameworks. So like I never really like put it together in a way that somebody could look at it and say, I want it. And so starting from 2025, I decided that I was going to sit down and think about how I could present this to someone. Because I feel like most of the work that I got hired to do was this work, which I call personal operating systems. The kind of person who you are in real life. When you remove the kids, and you remove the husband, and you remove the job, and you remove the business, who are you? If that's awesome and kick-ass, then everything else just gets to be on top of that. It's like everything else is cherry on top. And I realized that the more I abandoned this conversation, the more women I wasn't helping. And so today I really want to talk about the context to which I can support people. I want to talk about the areas that I really believe I have led myself well, and I want to give people permission to come to me for those things. There's one thing that is interesting. I did an offer the other week for a container that is starting in 7 weeks called the Identity Work Container. Or if you go in my link tree, you'll find something called Magnificent You. And what is very interesting is that there is people offline who are wanting to be in the container, and the people online, for some reason, have not yet come to the offer. I have people online watching, looking, and I don't know what's happening for them. Maybe they don't need the work. Maybe they don't think they need the work. Maybe I'm not their guide. But then I have people offline saying, oh my God, can we do that? It's so interesting because I have had times when I just step back and see where the energy is going in my business. And I just follow the path of least resistance is how I would say, like, that's how I build my business. I have spent more time with my online presence than I have spent offline. I am one of those people who built the business a bit upside down because I started in COVID. And so I started the business globally, and now it's like I'm bringing it in-house. So when I started my business, it was on the internet, and there was no single Ugandan that was on my account. I wasn't using Facebook. There was no single Ugandan that was trying to have these conversations. And I was like, I just went on the internet and started signing women from all over the world. And I was like, I guess this is a conversation that Ugandans have not warmed up to. 6 years in, and I'm beginning to have conversations about this stuff with Ugandans. So I'm very excited because I think I did it the other way around because of when I started, because it was COVID and there was no way to do it here if I tried. And even when I was here, I wasn't really thinking about it. So I do think that COVID was a hard pivot for me to go beyond myself, to go beyond the border, to go beyond the smallness that was in me then. But before we launch into this conversation, I want to tell you a story. I remember it was like 7 years ago. And I was listening to someone by Touré Roberts. Now, Touré Roberts, if you do not know who he is, he's someone I call my pastor. He owns a church called One Church. It's in LA. I've never been to that church. So I am an online member. But I've journeyed with that church for like 7 years. So seven years ago, I probably journeyed with them for like 10 years plus. So 7 years ago, there was this sermon about a message that came through. And this message said, you will be the person that shifts entire generations. It said, you'll be the person that shifts everything, shift the code of everything, relationships, money, everything. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was like, you get to break all the generational codes that came centuries before you. You get to break the code that has been there for centuries and centuries. This message, I believe, could have been heard by anybody, probably was heard by millions of people. Only I decided it was my message. Have you ever been to a sermon, to a church, and there's a message, and you decide that's my message? And you're like, that's it? That's my activation, I take it. So I was in this church, online on YouTube, and I listened to this message. And I decided this was message, was mine. This was for me. You will be the first in your entire generation. Not your family, not in your entire generation and the generations before you. You'll be able to shift things that your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents were never able to shift. You're going to be the first person that starts a conversation that nobody has thought about. There will be chains and chains of generations that depend on your ability to step into this person. And I listened to this thing and I was like, that's my message. That's my message. I was sat in my boutique. I sold fashion clothes. And I decided that was my message. And then the next question was, if you're going to break generational, I called them patterns or curses or whatever. If you're going to shift generations, who do you have to become? I asked myself that question and I said, if I'm going to shift generational pattern, I guess I'm going to be the best I can be. And in that moment, I decided that I was the person that was going to do that. I was also going to be the person that healed everything that wasn't mine. I was also going to be the person that understood everything that there was to understand. I was the person who was going to learn about money. I was the person who was going to learn about business. I was the person who was going to learn about parenting. I was the person who was going to learn about relationships. I was the person for the job. I decided that I was going to do it. And now I can tell when I look back that that is how I looked at myself and how I built my identity. So starting from the place where I said, I'm not just a girl in Uganda, I am a representation of Africa, but not even just Africa. Like there is generations upon generations that depend on myself and what I decide to do in this world. I decided if anybody was going to be a millionaire, it was going to be me. I decided there's actually like this real true story. When I first started hiring mentors, the first guy I hired said, I want you to set a goal, and I want you to set a goal with a context of if you could achieve anything that you want, what would you want? And if you join this conversation at any time whatsoever, I would love for you to join the chat, and I will be in the chat right as soon as I finish this conversation. I will lift this and put it on YouTube because I do think that Facebook puts this down. And I would love this conversation to be up for years and years and for women to be able to access this conversation. So if you feel like something is landing for you, or you have something to submit, or you have an experience of what I'm saying, or you have a question, I'd love for you to be involved, whether you watch this on YouTube or whether you watch this on Facebook. So this gentleman says, I want you to tell me if you couldn't fail, you could make all the money that you want to make, what would you want? And I said, $3 trillion. I didn't even think. I just opened my mouth and I said, $3 trillion. And they say, are you crazy? Do you know that apart from, I think he said Muhammad Gandhi, there is nobody else who's made money in the trillions? And then I looked at him and said, but I thought you said if everything was accessible to me, like, why do I have to dream small if dreams are free? I was confused. Like, why am I not allowed to dream? So I'm sharing this because for me, I picked up early on that I wasn't meant to live an ordinary life. I picked up early on that there was something bigger on my soul. Like I was responsible for something bigger. Even though early on I didn't know what it was, I always knew that my life was bigger than this. My life was bigger than go to school, get a good job, marry a nice man, raise beautiful kids and do the best you can, which is the code that my dad taught me. I always knew that there was something bigger than that. And even though my mom didn't say anything about that and her opinion about that, my mom lived her life in such a way that I felt like I was allowed to play full out, that I was allowed to play, that I was allowed to want more things, that I was allowed to experiment with life. Because my mom is a kind of woman who like had so many projects, so many businesses, and had a job as well at some point. So she did this and that and this and that. And I remember when I was really young, I can't remember how old I was, she took me to her store and asked me to take care of the clothing once she was gone. I think she had gone to see somebody in the market. It was like a second-hand market. And there was a dress that was 2,000 shilling. And what I did is when she left, somebody came and asked me how much is the dress, and I said 4,000. And they said, "Are you sure you won't get in trouble?" And I said, "No." They handed me 4,000. I was jumping up and down. I was excited. I had sold double the price. My mom came and looked at me and said, "Where did you get this money from?" And I said, "I sold the other dress." And she said, "You charge double." And I said, "Yeah, I think the dress is more." And my mom was like, "You're right. Maybe it's more." My mom, without even teaching me anything or doing much, demonstrated to me that I could be anything that I wanted to. And so a part of my identity was that I was allowed to dream big. I was allowed to speak up. I was allowed to want bigger things. I was allowed to dream beyond my circumstances. My mom got married at 17 and she had 8 babies by 40. My mom was proof that you could condense time, you could collapse timelines, that you could decide what you wanted and you could go on it. She didn't say much as a person, but I could see from how she lived her life that there wasn't a cap to what I could do. And so I remember that was like 7 years ago when Touré said, "You're the person that is going to shift an entire generation. You're going to be the person that breaks the chain." And I was like, this is my message. I do not know how. I don't know what came over me, but I said, this is my message. And since then, I started to really filter the world for that. This is the assignment on my life. This is so big. I have got to become the person who can do this. Who do I have to become to break the chain in hundreds and hundreds of generations of people that are connected to me? And knowing that I'm not a pastor or anything, knowing that I'm not a church or anything, I had to think like, what does this mean? And how am I going to do this? And so it's like I lived in the world and I was scanning for evidence of that. And my belief was first and foremost that I was chosen. And my belief was that the mission was big, really big. And my belief was that I had to become the woman that could hold that mission. Those were my beliefs. That is how I formed my identity. And day by day, year by year, century by century, I have literally come to make this almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. And every day I see people coming in to just bring pieces of the puzzle. And so for me, I live in a world where I believe I cannot fail. Literally, I believe I cannot fail. I believe in a world where I know that at the right time, when I am a match for this mission, whatever it is, it's going to come to life. And that at every level of the iteration, at every size of this mission, that I get to be grateful. And I get to expect more because I know that the mission is big. And when it is one person, I get to say thank you so much. And I get to serve that person with all my heart. And when they are 2, I get to do that. And when they are 5, I get to do that. And when they are 10, I get to do that. Because my belief is that the mission, this whole thing is going to grow to the level to which I can grow. It's going to grow to the level to which I can hold. And across my life, I have seen tests. It's like a bridge, and I feel like I am being tested every time. If we add 10 people, is this bridge strong enough? If we add 100, is this bridge strong enough? If we add 1,000, is this bridge strong enough? And because somehow I decided that I was going to become the woman that would hold that bridge, I am presented with opportunities every day to become the strongest bridge that there is. And this conversation that we're having now, I hope really helps you see things differently. Because even though women hire me for business, this is the conversation that I always have. This is the conversation. Because once we don't have this conversation, the business then becomes a puzzle Because there's 1,000 ways to build your business. Now with AI, maybe 1,000,000 ways. So how are you going to find your permutation? So think about business like a safe. And there's going to be permutations and combinations through which you can build your business. There's going to be different codes that open the safe. And you've got to be able to find out the code that is going to do the thing that you want to do. Because there's 1,000 ways to do it. There's 1,000,000 ways to do it. So how are you going to do it? There's so many things that have to come in place for you to be able to find the permutation and combination that is going to build your mission, build your business, and take you wherever you're trying to go. And this right now, you're like, I'm not there, and I'm not clear. I'm not even sure if I'm on the right path. Then what I would say is, first of all, pausing on the business, pausing on the relationship, pausing on that marriage, pausing on the focus of whatever is happening, and coming and saying, what if I decided that I was going to be an extraordinary human being first? Who led the relationship, the parenting, the wealth, everything on top? Because I find that this is the work. Every time I have worked with somebody who's been stuck in business, I realize, or we find, that it is the thing about them that is holding them back. Every time my business has hit a plateau, I can go back and I find that either it's the purpose or identity or something along the lines of me being everything that I'm called to do, to be able to move to the next level. Because what I said yes to was like, I was the person that was going to break the chain of whatever, the chain of money, break the chain, bring a different conversation, bring the shifts in the world for everyone that is attached to me. And I don't know how many people are attached to me, biologically or otherwise. But there is a string of people that are attached to my spirit, and my job is to become the woman that can hold that chain, that can break that chain. I need to be able to break that chain, whatever that is. And for me, I said, yes, I am going to become everything that I can. So please send me the teacher. Please send me the mentor. Please send me everything that I need to go through to become this woman. And sometimes the black belt is a failed business. Sometimes the black belt comes in your marriage. Sometimes the black belt trainer is in cancer. Sometimes the black belt trainer is in so many other ways that you would never see. So I do not know that everybody has to do this. I do not know that everybody has to carry a mission. But if you decide that you're carrying a mission and you want to help people, then I do think that there is an expectation that you're going to put on your big girl pants and move and like actually get to become the person who can hold that mission. That's my belief. You don't have to do it. You can quit today. You can decide, I'm done. I'm not going to do it. You can decide, I am going to do something that serves just me and my stomach. But when you decide that this work is for me, it's for my family, it's for the world, then there's an expectation on you to become everything that is required for you to hold space for that kind of assignment. When I say yes to the assignment that I am the woman that will facilitate the shift in the world, then I say yes, I put down my ego and I say, send me the teachers. Sometimes the teachers are not coaches or mentors. Sometimes the teachers are the experiences in life, the problems in life, the people you have to encounter, the children you give birth to, the person you get married to. Sometimes it is your family, sometimes it is the haters on the internet. You don't get to decide what the teachers are. Sometimes what you get is like a business that doesn't make money for 4 years. Because in those 4 to 6 years, you've become the person that actually can hold whatever. Sometimes it is you get to create 100 posts, 100 videos, and nobody comments. And what gets tested is whether the validation you have about your mission and what you're here to do is enough, or whether you need the external validation of comments, likes, followers, shares, conversions, to believe. The way that I see this work is like three things. So I see faith, the faith in what believe, the faith in what hasn't happened. I wanted to draw for you, but I don't. So there's like faith. Most of us think we believe, but when we are tested, the bridge breaks. But I hope you can see it. It is faith, and I think there is emotional intelligence, and I think there is your personal operating system. That's how I call it. How I see this thing. There's no way you could see this. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to go close my curtain, and then I'll come back. Okay, this is better. So this is how I say this. Wow. Emotional intelligence. The processing of your own emotion. Sadness, disappointment, frustration, anger, joy. How do you process that stuff? How do you grow from that? Emotional maturity. I don't even think I would call it intelligence. I think I call it maturity, like emotional maturity. There is what I call the personal operating system. This is like the threads you're made of. So I would probably call it your own source of power. I'd call it internal power. We're looking at communication, we're looking at boundaries, we're looking at standards. We're looking at knowing who you are, giving yourself the love and attention and respect that you expect from other people. There's a lot of things that have been very important for me. And I don't know that I've had these conversations a lot. And I do think that now is the time. The time to talk about things that are not business. I am doing a program which is, I think it's the Waymaker, and that is the only place that I'm doing business stuff alongside everything else. I do believe that this conversation is becoming very important for me, very important for everyone that is connected to me, very important for my clients. Because if we leave this conversation behind, it's like we're not growing as a collective. Like we are not solving the real thing that there is. Because business problems are personal problems. Marriage problems are personal problems. Parenting problems are personal problems. Money problems are personal problems. And I want to believe that now is the right time. This conversation is not too late. It's just the right time. I want to talk about everything that I believe has been a part of me being who I am, which then allows me to do the things that I do, but then allows me to lead myself in the way that I lead myself, that then allows me to create the results that I have created for myself. Because I believe that this is part of what the market needs, part of what the world needs. I want to have conversations about purpose, what you really believe you're here to do, especially the bigness of that thing. Because I feel like a lot of people have an idea, a glimpse, and they're like, they don't even know how big this thing is. So they play small all through and through. And what I appreciate about my ability to understand this It's helped me to go through life differently. If this is the assignment, how are we going to tell the story? If this is the assignment, how did we deal with this part? If the assignment on my life is that I'm going to break generational chains and bend time and shift things, not just for myself, but for an entire generation, then what is the story? What is the book? And how did we deal with this moment today? Who did we hire along the way? How did we grow? I want to be able to tell that story. And now I get to write the script. If I believe that there is an assignment in my life to break generational chains, who do I marry? And how do I write the script of that marriage? Who do I become in that marriage? What is my standards? What is my boundaries? How do I communicate what I want in that marriage? Knowing what is the mission on my name. Knowing what I'm here to do. Knowing the calling on my name. Who do I have to become to hold that bridge? There is people that I meet. There's women that I meet. And they're like, the business is not working. I'm not getting clients. And when I sit with them in one conversation, I can tell that the reason they're not getting clients is because what they've been given is so powerful that they need to become a different person to then be a match of somebody who needs that thing. There's women that they will keep struggling until they step up and say, I'm going to give this conversation to the right person who can meet me financially at this commitment and can do the work. These women that are activators, they're women that hold space for space holders. Now, if you're a woman like me, who holds space for space holders, I don't know if you understand the assignment on that. I don't know if you understand how many other people are on the way. I don't know if you understand how much is in the basket of that. There's women I have met, I have sat with them, and because of how much assignment is on my name, if their energy wasn't pure, that did not, like it just didn't land. We probably did 4 sessions and I was out. Because what I carry on my head is too big and too important for me to put it in front of someone who is not stepping into everything that they are here to do. So sometimes you will meet people and they will not hire you because you don't understand what they're carrying. Like you don't understand how pregnant they are and how big the baby is. And so the one thing that I can say is that once you can see again, when you can see what this really is, you can make a decision. Like, do you want to do this? Because you don't have to. And if you want to, are you ready to play full out? Are you ready to go all in? Are you ready to become everything that you're here to become? There will be women that the work they're supposed to do is this work, helping people become extraordinary. I chose that. I said yes to that. I said I'm going to be the purest energy that I can be. And I am going to become the person who can hold the weight of that. And I'm going to be the person that people can go through to bring their work in the world. And I understand the depth of that. I understand the weight on that. That sometimes I will plug myself out and I say, now it's time for me to receive the guidance and support that I need. I have been in places where I asked for something and it landed and I was like, okay, take it back. I'm not ready for this. I have realized how much growth I needed to have over the years because for me, manifesting things is not a problem. I have more faith than I know what to do with. I could be starving today for no food and could still see how wealthy and lucky I am. I'll find gratitude no matter what situation I'm in. I have faith that I can't even understand. I believe the best is yet to come. I believe that what I want wants me. And I believe that if I just surrender to the time, this thing will happen. So the one thing that I really know that I have, and I don't know how I got that, it is the faith that no matter what's happening right now, what I want is on its way. And if I just sit in that void, that it will come. And it doesn't matter what this current circumstance is. And I don't try to put meaning to what happens as I wait. I don't try to put a meaning when I create a video and people don't comment on it. I don't try to put a meaning when I put an offer in the market and people don't buy it. I don't put a meaning. I just keep moving because I know the assignment. Because I know that if I'm a match for that thing, it's going to come to me. So when I'm trying to give the market something and they don't buy it, I go, okay, that means I'm not a match for that. And then I move. And then I do the work. I want to have this conversation because I feel like I have had a lot of this conversation in the back and never in the front. The conversation about self-sabotage, the conversation around communication, communicating your boundaries, the conversation about internal power, the personal operating system, what you're made of, the conversation about faith and patience, the conversation about believing that what you want is coming, the conversation that you cannot fail. I want to have these conversations. The conversation about emotional maturity. I want to have these conversations because I feel like they have been the conversations that opened my eyes to a lot of things that personally I have been through and I didn't even know what it was. But the way that I look at life is that this is the assignment. Generational chains. I'm breaking them. I have to become the person who can break that. I have to become everything that I can. And there is guidance, there's help, there is support to help me along that journey. That help is there. It's gonna come. My only job is to say, yes, I'm doing this for myself, I'm doing this for my family, I'm doing this for the world, and I mean it. And I don't care how long it takes. And I am willing to become the person that can hold this responsibility. And when I say send me guidance, send me teachers, I'm aware that some of it will look like life challenges. And that's okay. That's okay. And some of it will look like the right mentors, and some of it will look like the right teachers. I can't begin to tell you how many things have opened up since I said, yes, 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 I am the person that's going to do that. And I'm sure that someone was listened to by thousands and millions of people. And along the way, my husband came. And before he came, I had another someone that said, somebody's going to come and they're going to be a part of this purpose. Now that you've said yes to the purpose, we're going to send you somebody who's going to help you make this easier. And I was like, okay. I didn't know how, didn't know who. And one day I'm on Facebook, I write a post. My husband sees it and he says, yes, that's my way. So, in 9 months, there's a wedding. There's a man from England who saw a girl in Uganda on Facebook. He's now in Uganda and they're having a wedding. Purpose, a piece of the purpose. Boom. This is help for you. This is how it becomes effortless for you. We're bringing hope. But there's also going to be more that come with that, more to help you grow, more to help you become the woman that can unlock everything that is available for you. There has been a lot of things that dropped in that if I didn't have the eye to see them, I would never see them. So when you ask for help and you ask for clients and you ask for miracles, are you putting a color to that? Because sometimes you ask and what you're asking for comes in your biggest client living. You asked for $1 million, okay? Give you $1 million, I'm going to take away this client who's giving you $20,000, and then you're going to have a business which is not making money for a year. And if you pass that test and you keep serving people and you keep doing the work that I'm asking you to do, then I will open $1 million. Because the woman at $1 million serves without external validation. Okay? The 20K client leaves and you're like, and then you have a $0 a month and you're like, 3 months in a row, you're like, oh my God, it's not working, it's not working. You hire everyone. 6 months later, you're like, oh my God, I'm getting a job. 1 year later, you're not doing this work anymore. Where does your faith end? Like, what's the breaking point of the faith? There's one thing that I can attach to everything that I've been able to do to this point. From zero, from Uganda with no proof, no one modeled this. I didn't even know how it was there. In 2020, I was already teaching women to build a business based on their intuition. And my clients gave me testimonials and said, her marketing and sales ways are unconventional. If you don't mind the unconventional, she is a sense of freedom. And I was like, okay. So naturally, I just built business in a way that felt easy. I followed the path of least resistance. So if I wanted to get in front of people, I thought myself, what's the easiest way to do it? I can go live, talk about what I want to talk about. That seems really easy. And I can tell people to message me. That I can do. Okay? And then what happens after that? You have to have an offer. Okay? There's so many ways to do it. But the easiest way for me to do is to just write my thoughts on a page, a Google Doc, and have somebody read that. And just to give it to people who feel the alignment. Like there's a way for me to buy something because of how I feel when I listen to someone. So why not create for those people? What does that mean? That I don't have to sell to them. I just have to invite them. I just have to see what it is that they're selling, how I feel about that, and about that. So there was a point when I started to rebel against how people were teaching, how to sell, how to market, how to get people to buy your thing. I made emails to send, and I was like, no, that's not how I buy. I don't know if there's any email list I am on that emails me every day, and I'm like, oh my God, another email from this person. I'm so excited. Never got that feeling. When I give you my email address, I am hoping you don't email me outside of the context that I've given you my email. When I give you my email, I'm hoping that you don't email me things that are not related to who I am. When I give you my email, I'm really hoping that you don't see me as a subscriber. And I don't give my email to a lot of people now. I don't even opt into things. So when I give you my email, there's a part of me that trusts you and thinks that you're going to use this email for the right reasons. So give me information about the thing I've registered for. And give me an email when what you're saying is relevant to the reason that I gave you my email. If I give you my email and every day now you're giving me this whole thing, you've added me on a list of 30,000 people, I am out. And so I think it would be crazy for me to sell like that because I don't enjoy opening my email and seeing an email every day from someone. I trust that I am intelligent. I trust that I have power to buy. I trust that I know what I want. I trust that if I want to buy your offer, I will buy it. I trust that you don't need to sell to me. Just tell me what you have, and I will buy it or not buy it. And if I don't buy it, there's no amount of convincing or explanation or threatening that is going to make me buy it. So save yourself the 10-step funnels. Save yourself the 100 email campaign. Save yourself the reminders, because if I sign up for something, I'm in. If I'm not in, I'm not signing up. So I have never needed reminders. I've never needed to be convinced. I have never needed for you to write the most epic offer, like I buy because of you. So I started to think to myself, what if there were more people like me? Like, what if there were more people who were human beings that were using the internet? What if there were more people who had an attention span and they could sit behind a 2-hour video and watch it on social media? What if there were people that if they could just get themselves to whatever I was saying, they found my work, they would intuitively know if they want to listen to me or not? What if there were people that if I told them what I have to offer, that they knew if they wanted it or didn't want it? What if there were people that didn't need a sales call? What if there were people that didn't need the grand slam offer? What if there were people that they knew what they wanted, and if you were the right person to hold space for that thing, they would buy it? What if my job was to just become everything that I can and invite the right people in? What if the people connected to my name somehow had my DNA and they were decisive and they knew what they wanted and they couldn't be shamed and guilted into anything? What if it was easy? Because I am the easiest person to sell to. When I want to buy your offer, I will message you and ask you about the thing, and I will buy it. I'll go through the thing. I will do everything that I can. I will become a match for that thing. I will get the result. When I go through people's work, I am always like in people's funnels. Like that's the thing. Like every time I take someone's program, I end up in the funnel. I end up in the funnel. Because if there is anything that you're teaching, I will embody that. I'll take the thing, I will see what of that is for me, and I will just take it and move. And if there's anybody who's going to get a result, I believe I'm the one to get the result. I will do all the work. I'll go through all the training. I go all in. I do a few things in life, apart from a few people. But when I find my match, when I find the one I am buying from, like the zero offer, the free thing to the 6-figure thing, that's how I go. Like I am all in. So what if on the internet there were women like me? I go to the internet when I go to the internet. When I go to the internet, I also search for people. I wonder how this person is doing, and I put their name in Facebook and I look for them. I'm not stopping because somebody has a big headline. I'm not stopping because somebody has a hook. I'm not stopping because the video is 3 seconds. I am typing in a name of someone because I want to see what they have. But if there are more people doing that, I see a replay from someone and something says open it. They open it and I listen, depending on how I feel, listening or I don't listen. It's nothing to do with the hook. It's nothing to do with the words you say. It's nothing to do with the cute little words in your bio. It's nothing to do with testimonials. Everything to do with me, where I am in my life. And if I think that you're part of my mission or not. But when I started to think about it, it invalidated most things that I was seeing on the internet. And so starting from 2020, I started to teach these things that I was using, that they were working, that my clients were using them, that they were working. And women just began to show. But there was a part of me that needed to come before all the money. I do think that the worst thing that can happen to you is that you make all this money, then you realize that you've not become the woman that can enjoy all of it. I remember at that time when I was making 6 figures a year, and then I started to make 6 figures in 1 month. I remember what was happening is I didn't even know how to process stress. I didn't know how to process emotion. And now that I look at it, there has been a lot of growth from then to now that if I had kept going at that pace, I would have been at a place where I would have been making $1 million a month, and I probably would have broken down because I didn't know how to handle stress. Something would have given way. And so a part of what I believe is that sometimes what you want is not coming, because if it comes, it's going to come at a cost of something else that needs to be in your life. So you might be going, I want a big business and I want this. And then God is looking at you and going, God, divine, Mother Nature, whoever you believe. I believe in God, so I talk about. God is going, if I give you this thing that you want, I can see that your partner is going to be affected in a way that I don't want them to be affected. Maybe you have a partner in your life and they are a black belt for you. This person has been sent in your life to help you become everything that you can become. And you haven't really noticed that. And maybe you're arguing and you're disagreeing and you feel unseen and all the things that you've not come to the realization that this person was sent in your life to help you become everything that you can become, which is for me who my husband is. Like, he's the person that is going to help me become everything. Like, I've grown so much since being married to him that now it's very clear for me why he's in my life. Like, there's so much on my name, and he's been the person that was able to create an environment where all that could come out. So there will be someone saying my business isn't going. Okay. But then divine says, if I give you the business that you want now, it's going to come at a cost of marriage. And that marriage is a very key part of you becoming the person that is supposed to do the work. And so, no. If I give you this now, you're going to ignore your children. You're not going to give them as much attention. And maybe one of the children that you're raising is supposed to change the world. And so divine says, no. What you want is not going to come until you're the person who can receive it without losing the things that you already have. So you already have this basket, and it has things. Maybe it has children, it has a husband, it has people that are meant to help you on this journey. And you receiving what you're asking for now, what you're trying to manifest now, means that these things are going to give way. No, we're not giving you something if it's going to mean you lose something which is important. That trade is not fair. Or it can be like, the truth is, Prima, if I give you 1,000 people right now, these people are not going to get what I want them to get. So when you move from helping yourself, maybe doing this work, I don't know why you did this work of self-actualization. I personally did it for me. I started to do it when life demanded it. I thought I'm going to become everything I can. But the real work for me happened when life put something on that says, Prima, you need to grow now. This thing is here. Are you going to grow? So for me, I can't even say I got an awakening or anything. For me, it was that someone. And then I said, yes, I am the person who's going to do this. I am the chosen person. I decided I'm the chosen woman. I'm going to do this. I'm going to become the person that breaks the chain. And I don't know if it's the chain of what, but like the person that breaks the chain and brings a new shift about all the things, about relationships, about success, about money, about wealth, about whatever that thing is. When I said yes, now I have to become everything. And sometimes you say you want 100 clients, but the truth is that if those clients are brought on your lap today, those clients will not get what they want. Maybe you haven't become the person who's going to give them what they want. So when you do the work for yourself, that's one thing. When you do the work for others, That's another thing. It's like I feel like there are levels. So there's this level where you do the work for yourself. Okay. And then there's this level where you do the work for others. You're helping a mom raise her children. You're helping people become better so they can have a better life. Okay. When you begin to move past yourself into helping others, you will be tested because sometimes you're helping a mom. Imagine if you would be helping my mother back in the day. Just as a recap, in case you're just meeting us for the first time, we talked about becoming an extraordinary person, become everything that you can, and then layering a business, layering wealth, layering money, layering the relationship on top of that. I do find that a lot of people focus more on the things they want, and they forget that all those things are much easier if you become everything that you're trying to become. You focus on that more than, I'm not saying become everything now, but I'm saying like focus on becoming everything that you can become. And then understanding that everything else you build is built on that. So relationship is built on who you are. A business is built on who you are. Everything else is built at the back of who you are. So this conversation, I was trying to just explain why I feel like I'm going more into this kind of work because I feel like it is the more important work. We've talked about my incline when it comes to like purpose, like the bigness of your purpose. What do you believe? Like how you believe, like how big do you believe your purpose is in this planet? If you have a purpose, like how big is it? And who do you have to become to meet the bigness of that? I feel like a lot of people haven't thought about it. And today is, I think, cleaning day. So there might be a cleaner coming in, which is fine. Who do you have to become to meet the person that needs to be there? Like, who do you have to become to actually be the person that can do the work that you're here to become? So we talked about a lot of things, but in the end, what I do believe that I wanted to deliver is the fact that this conversation about business is no longer about just business. Because business is really just an extension of everything. So in as much as you might know me as a business person, I feel like what has made me who I am and what has helped me become the person I am in business is everything else that is not a business. It is my boundaries, my standards, it's who I am or who I believe I am. It's the belief I have about the bigness of the mission. It is my ability to communicate my standards. It is knowing how much access people get. It's knowing who is in the inner circle and who is not. It is the ability to take radical responsibility and go, if a tree fell on me, it's my responsibility. So how does this fit in the story? If this is the thing I'm meant to do on this planet, we are a break generational chain. Okay. Big, massive, and I can kind of go, whoa, who do I have to become? So if in the middle of nowhere, a tree came and fell on my head, how is that connected to that? How is that part of maybe the black belts I need to know? Like, if a tree came and broke my leg, how is that part of the mission? Because it is. How is that part of the purpose? How I navigate that based on what angle? Because a tree can fall on you and you can decide, oh my God, I'm unlucky and da da da. Or a tree can fall on you and you go, I wonder what my response to this will be if this was really in the story of the method. If this was in the book, in the movie of the method. How would I navigate this? If people are watching this and changing their lives, how would I navigate the path? How will I lead myself through this situation where a tree has fallen on my head? And some of the black belts that we get are like that. You feel like a tree has fallen on your head and there's no way it can be your responsibility, but it is. It's a tree, it's on your head. If you weren't there, the tree wouldn't be on your head. So I feel like there's that level of responsibility that begins to happen and that ownership that begins to happen, that you're like, if this is part of the story, if this is part of the movie, if this is part of the book, how did I lead myself through this thing? If millions of people depended on how you navigated that path to find their own courage to navigate their situations, how did you navigate the toughest times of your life? How did you navigate the time when 6 years you didn't get clients? Is it going to be I quit 5 times, I quit 10 times? Or is it going to be I found another way to feed my family and I kept going? And maybe part of it is separating the desire to feed your family with the desire to build this thing, which is a big thing. And why I brought this conversation first and foremost is I really think nothing makes sense unless people start to see that who they are at the end of it all is what is responsible for whatever else they do. And the reason I said this is because even the who do I want to become, what identity I want to calibrate to, doesn't make much sense for me until I know what I'm supposed to hold, until I know the bigness of my purpose on this planet. I don't even know what identity I want. I don't even know. And like yesterday, someone messaged me and said, Prima, I see you have identity work, but you've not done the purpose. You've not launched the purpose work yet, but you're doing identity work. And she's like, I don't even know what my purpose is. So how can I find who I am? I have no idea how big my purpose is. How big is it? Is it just for me? Is it just for me and my family? Is it for me and the world? Is it for me and my village? Or is it for me and everyone that is connected to my name, like I am? Is it for me and the entire chain of everybody that is connected to my name? Because how big that thing is will determine what identity you may want to take on. How much resilience does this person have? How much faith does this person have? What lens are they wearing? Like, how do they see things? How do they see problems? How do they see obstacles? How do they see rock bottom moments? Because what you see as a rock bottom moment, sometimes I see it as a moment of realization that I need to take another turn. But you might see it as rock bottom. Oh my God, my life is over. Is it over or is it time to start over again? This time, what is it? What I have done is I have got the identity experience, which starts in the next 7 days. And I have bonused it with purpose work. Because I feel like identity without purpose, I feel like trying to calibrate the identity without a sense of how big the purpose is still. So I've created what I call the identity bundle. And what I've done with this bundle is when you go through the identity experience, which is magnificent to you, you're also going to get an invitation to come to the Purpose Project. The Purpose Project on its own sells for $2,222 and is a one-on-one experience. The identity work in a group experience goes for $1,555. What I have done is I've created the identity bundle, and inside the identity bundle, you get the identity experience and you get the purpose experience. So you get $2,222 on top if you invest in the identity experience. The 7 days, I'm not sure how many live videos I'll do because I do them based on how I'm feeling led. I do not know if I will talk about this program again. I feel like there's a lot of information today. I feel like I have released a lot. Because I really believe that when you understand your purpose or the magnitude of that purpose, then you can calibrate to an identity that you believe will be able to hold this, and you can work your way towards that identity. So I really believe the part of what has helped me is having this vision of the purpose and allowing myself to calibrate to somebody who can hold that energy, who can hold that frequency, who can hold that power. And knowing that I'm being tested, and every time I need to rise up, be a match for whatever I am meant to hold. And when I am not ready to hold it, it's not gonna come. And so really working with the people that come through now, I'm just celebrating that I am a match for those people. And if there's different people that are meant to serve, that there will be a time when I am a match for those people and they will come in. I'm not trying to control the time or bend it, just being in faith that everything is coming in at the right time when I'm ready for it. I'm not trying to prematurely get the things that I'm not ready for. And usually, really, my prayer is that I will get the things that I'm a match for, and that I will do the best I can with those things, and that I will give those clients my best, and that I will be the best partner that I can be for my partner, and that whoever crosses my path will be seen and appreciated. And what I do hope happens, as long as I am alive and on this path, is that when you meet me, you feel like there's a match with the light, and you feel like you tapped some of that, or you feel like yours got taller. I believe that we all have our candles, and what I hope happens is that we keep giving each other light. And I hope that I light my candle right now, that when you come in close proximity, that you get some of that. And so we create like this ripple. And we allow ourselves to see where that level of surrender can end for us. So if you would love to be part of the identity work, which is Magnificent You, which is starting on 30th of March to 3rd of April, message me and you will be able to get it with a bonus of the purpose work. I cannot bonus this for more than 5 people because it's one-on-one. Purpose work is one-on-one. So I can only bonus it for 5, which is like 1 container. Otherwise, I would have to do it as a group experience, a small group experience. But at the moment, it's one-on-one. I don't know if there's any details whatsoever, but in my link tree, there is something about Magnificent You, which is the offer for identity work. And there is another doc about the services that are available, which is really also about what it is. I don't believe that people need to have as many details as possible, depending on the program. Like these life programs, becoming an extraordinary human being, faith, purpose, identity. I don't believe that we need so much explanation on them. Because the return on investment is a better life, a better you. Like, how can you sell that? The return on investment is that you become an extraordinary life. There's nothing much we can say about that, except for your ability to just decide that you want it. Because there's no price I can put on that. These are skills that can save your marriage. There are skills that can end you in a job promotion. There are skills that they just increase the quality of your life. And you don't know if there's a price that I can put to that. I feel like I have been speaking for the last hour and a half. And I feel like what I had to say has already been said. But in conclusion, what I do believe that if you can focus on seeing the black belts that are in your life right now, who are the teachers? Who are the black belts? What are the challenges? What are the areas that you have had an invitation to become better? And right now you might be seeing them as challenges or problems or difficult people, or I want you to see them with a new eye. Like, can you see the black belts in your life? Can you see the messengers that have been sent in your life? Can you see them? Oh, are you going, there's no way I would pay 30,000 to work with that person. It feels like out of reach. And therefore, you sabotage your next breakthrough. And you go for somebody that charges less, and you don't get results, and you blame them, and you don't get the lesson. You don't get the lesson, which is the result you're after, and the level of commitment maybe need too much. Maybe you don't get the lesson, which is going to the person that you want despite the fear of investing. Maybe you need to go and have something lower with that person. But maybe then starting with the right person is important, even though you get no access But maybe what you want will be in something they do in a group, and maybe you don't need one-on-one to get the breakthrough. And so there's a lot of lessons. The things you've invested in that didn't make you money, that didn't give you a return on investment. Are you blaming those people? Or are you picking the lesson that was there? Like, what was the lesson? Why were you a match for those containers that didn't give you a result that you wanted? Are you blaming them? Or can you find something to be grateful for? Can you find the lesson? Can you find the invitation? Because if you don't, you'll keep on going until you learn the lesson. What are the people in your life right now that are there to teach you a lesson that you're not seeing? What are the circumstances that are there to teach you a lesson that you're not learning? Do you lack patience? And therefore, you've been put in a place where you won't get clients for a while so that you can become more patient. You're the kind of person who wants to manifest and then you decide it's not working because you decided you wanted to manifest 10K this week, this month. What's happening for you? What's the lessons that are on your table right now that you're not picking up? Who are the people that have been sent in your life to teach you something that you're not picking up? How big is this mission that you're here to do? Do you have an idea how big it is? Do you have an idea what it will take you to become that person that can hold that mission? And are you ready for the challenge? Or will you just do it when it's easy? You don't have to be here. You don't have to do this. Are you doing this for you? Are you doing it for your family? Or are you doing it for the world? Which one is it? There's nothing wrong if you want to do it for the world. But are you really trying to do it for the world? Start with people and who are trying to do this work for the world. But in the same bucket, if they didn't get their return on investment in X amount of months, they couldn't do it. How does that work? Is this for you? Is it to feed your family? Or is it also to serve the world? And maybe, have you considered that if it's going to be serving the world, it's going to be bigger than something you can do in 5 months or 6 months or 12 months? And have you considered that maybe you need more time? You need to give this thing more time. Maybe the bigness of it means you have to do it for a century before it takes off. Can you imagine if Oprah just tried to become Oprah in 1 year? Can you imagine? Oprah tried to be Oprah in 1 year. And most of you have a brand like that. A brand like Oprah, but you want that brand to work in 1 year. It doesn't work like that. You haven't become the person who can hold it. And therefore, it doesn't happen. What I hope this conversation has done is given you something to think about. What I hope this conversation has done is give you some kind of insight. What I hope this conversation has done is give you something to contemplate about, because I think I will be doing more of this as I work with people. I am getting a lot of interesting conversations, especially offline, because I've now opened myself up to meet people in person. I think it's fun and have a conversation with them. And, just give them this truth, like these moments of truth that I'm sharing with you here. And I'm finding that people in the world are really stacking on enjoying and stepping up into this kind of thing. And so I don't know what that means. I'll come here and share what I'm doing, how it's going. I'll keep inviting you along. And eventually a system will come through for me, because this become an extraordinary human being is a new extension to my work. And in as much as the people on the internet want me to give them business stuff, I really cannot do the business stuff without this stuff, because I feel like it's where the rubber meets the road. And it doesn't matter if you do this work, like there's always another angle. There's always something that, another person can show for you. So the way I see it is I'm on this journey, and I can come to you and you hold space for me. You can come to me and I hold this space for you, and I don't have to be better than you and you don't have to be better than me. We can all be equally powerful and still support each other. My job is to keep my energy as clean as it can so that I can hold the space for you to access your own wisdom, which you have. I don't have to be more advanced than you. I don't have to be better than you. I don't have to understand anything you don't. I just have to be an embodiment of what I'm an embodiment for and hold the space that I'm here to hold for those that feel the pulse. Thank you for your attention today. Thank you for being part of this conversation. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming from the other video to this video. I honor you, appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. If this is your first time, I would love to hear from you. If this is not your first time, I would still love to hear from you. And if you watch this video or the first video and you feel like there is a woman in your world who needs to hear this conversation, I would love it if you shared this conversation. It is my greatest honor to be having these conversations, to be leading these conversations, and to allow myself to continue to be a vessel and a messenger through which these words continue to disseminate to the world. And I am so honored and grateful that I get to be the imperfect person that has a chance, an opportunity to speak in your life. So I do not take that lightly. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful